Halfway is such an important measure of how you get your season sorted. And so here at what will be halfway at the end of this round, we now start to focus on those who can put and string results together in this series. In your Sunday mornings that you have, your Sunday evenings, wherever you are, or some even a very, very late Saturday night. This is going to be where amazing racing takes its hold. It's where all of the great thinkers of racing bring themselves to battle, and we welcome you over to Kent, where Brands Hatch will prove to be the 6th challenge on the calendar for this season of your Skip Barber race series. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside me in the booth today is Craig King. Christian Deploy is in the director's chair, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But a circuit that is revered for what it is, what it has been, and what it will continue to be for time immemorial at this point in time. Brands Hatch, a legacy piece of racing circuit in the world of racing and sim racing. If you haven't been here before, if you haven't seen this before, get a little bit of an understanding here with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner, Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day.
Brands Hatch is one of those tracks which does make life difficult to overtake. You need to be choice when it comes to making the moves, even in a car with as little horsepower as this one here today, Craig. I look around this track that opened in 1950, and I think one thing, and I think one thing only. Turn 5 is the great place to pass today.
Turn 5 is going to be fantastic. That's why I unmute myself. It's going to be fantastic today. And this is the track that we see a lot of in the real world with the Formula Ford Festival. This Skip Barber is kind of similar to that car. And in fact, in the old days when the Formula Ford wasn't on the sim, we could use these cars to replicate that series. And it produces some fantastic racing. But we're on the GP layer, as you said. Turn 5, otherwise known as Hawthorne. Such a good overtaking spot because of that straight down the Pilgrim's Drop. And we know that these Skip Barbers really love to use the slipstream, but you've got to get there first. And it's going to be such a tight battle going up and down the hill, down the Paddock Hill Bend, up into Druid and down into Graham Hill. Those elevation changes really will test the suspension. Expect a lot of sliding here today. Expect it all the time for the Skip Barbers, of course.
Yep, and of course, when it comes to racing action here in the Skip Barber race series, it runs a little bit different to some of the other circuits, or sorry, the other seasons that we have out there in iRacing, and it's worth talking about this at the halfway stage. Today is going to be 15 laps around the Grand Prix layout, so there's a lot of time to make the moves out there compared to just the 8 laps that they had 1 week ago on Easter Sunday. They've got open setup so they can fine-tune and fettle to make the car quicker, and they've got 1 spare car available to them. So if they do damage it early on, they do have a chance of recovering back over the course of the racing. Standing start, as is normal with this series, but the big key is that you hit 17 instant points. It's old school. You get disqualified. You don't have this nonsense of drive-through penalties.
I'll tell you what, with a track like this, a track so narrow, you can rack up those incident points. just with how it can go. A little bit too much on the curve, trying to cut a corner too much. That's going to be an off track. Get on the throttle too hard at something like Paddock Hill Bend, or maybe just coming out of Sheens, and you're going to look at getting a off track and another incident point. And it's 15 laps, 1 incident point a lap, and you're almost having trouble with how close these drivers will drive. You may even get a 2, and worse, a 4X. Just see the paddock there. You can see the Paddock Hill Bend. It's another foggy morning in England. I'll tell you what, it's sunshine out here in the West Country, Jake. Not sure what's happening up in Kent today.
Yeah, very, very nice and sunny out there right now. So much so I can barely see my computer screen at this moment in time. But I would say that it has been 100% for British racetrack fog morning races that we've had here in the Skip Barber race series this season. But that won't deter these drivers who will look at these outlaps and desperately try and get some tyre temperature into their cars before running on and making their laps known. And we will start out with those laps with this driver right now running through the final corner, and that is Neil Gardner going on to a lap. The banked front stretch that leads to Paddock Hill Bend, up over the top of the crest and drop down the hill. Try and get most of your turning done early. It makes life so much easier when you hit the drop down the hill, back up the hill to Druids Corner, turn 2, this plateau as you go through the middle of the corner, and then back descending down the hill over towards turn number 3. Graham Hill Bend, looking to maximise the exit again. You can use all of that rumble strip on the outside because it leads over to Surtees Corner, turn 4, and this is where you leave the Indy circuit and then move on to the full Grand Prix. Massive big lock of oversteer through the middle of the corner for Neil Gardner, and that will scrub some time onto the straight.
Yeah, and it's going to be so important, Surtees. It's a double apex corner, or a late apex corner in some cases for these cars. So you really want to get that throttle down early, and this is Hawthorne. We talked about it. Just look how much space you've got to work with, but it then starts to tighten up a bit. And now into one of my favorite parts of the track, these high mid-speed corners into Westfield Bend and then downhill. More runoff you can use. Get that car sorted because you're going to have to find a braking point early here as you hit into Sheens. And around he goes with no problem. And then the hard left into Stirling. You've got a lot of curb you can use on the inside, not a lot you can use on the outside, and just flirts with the grass there, does Neil Gardner, as he comes under the bridge for one last time. Clark is such an important curve. It starts to dip, then it starts to level up, and then you get a little bit of a banking to come down to the start-finish line. Well, that is a lap in these Skip Barbers, and Neil Gardner is going to be the litmus test to start the racing today. It's going to be a 1:39.6 just for him. It puts him on pole so far.
Yeah, and so faster than Tom Payne as Adam Tompkins really heights up the timing stands. A 38.9 for car 3, looking absolutely magnificent out there with that qualifying time. And of course, this is just the one split today as Lovesolo pushing right to the limit of the circuit there. 2 tyres in the grass. That certainly won't help. Enzo Cantor currently second. Paul Smithers in third. Lap won't count for Lovesolo. The Italian Stallion's got to do it again on lap 2.
And this is where the pressure comes in, because you kind of want that bank lap in early doors. So now Lovesolo's going to have to work again. And he's taking a little bit more cautious. More grass kicking up. There should be okay, though. It's half the car is over the line, so he'll be okay as he hits into Druid. That iconic livery now that we see every week. And Sam Devantier is now showing what it is. He's got the number 1 in his car for a reason. He's going to have to find a bit more time, though. He's got to find 8 tenths here, Jake. What a lap that was from Adam Tompkins.
Oh, it was a mega qualifying lap time that is almost 3.5 tenths of a second clear of the field. Devontier finding himself in 5th, has a lot of work to do, but there goes Cesar Best going quickest by 0.02 of a second. Car 6 moving up to the front. First time we've seen Cesar all season long, and what a time to pull that lap out.
Well, his name's Best for a reason, and he managed to find the time. What can Tompkins do as a response as he comes around the Brabham Straight one last time for this qualifying? It is going to be a 38. Is it going to be a 38? It's a 38.888. Retakes the lead by 0.05 of a second, and Enzo Cantor now up the leaderboard with just 300 behind him. This is really tough for some of the drivers. All eyes on the number 1 car, though. Really need to find some time because the top 3 separated by less than a tenth.
The Movano man goes second. Adam Tompkins back to where he belongs at the moment. Devontier down in 8th position currently and would be desperate for some times. Yannick Morale would be another one who'd look to try and find something. Devontier over the line, 39.2, and that is good enough for the second row. In 4th position, Lovisolo can only manage 8th. With the qualifying effort that's been put together, and Cesar Best has got an off track, so won't improve on the second lap. So that's quite huge right now. Jose Nunez then trying to improve on 12th position. Keep an eye on Morale, who's making his way over towards the line. So there goes Nunez, 41.3 is classed over the line. Morale, 39.5. That will raise some morale as he goes up into 9th position then with that qualifying time. I'm looking around to see who can go out there and put a time on the board. The only driver out there is Sharky Axelsen, name of the race, name of the season so far, Sharky Axelsen. He'll be looking to try and swim up to another position.
Well, I was going to say welcome to the jungle with the Axelsen name, but he is going to try and do his best on his second lap here. And we're just expecting to see, and you're just going to see with the single split here, we do get to see all the types of drivers, which is a good thing because you get to see drivers really test their might here. It's a track that I loved driving when I first got into the sim. A lot of drivers loved this track. It's great for these little cars just due to what you get to have on these corners and the speed carry. And you just start to see really finding the confidence now, getting that confidence on the track. Let's try and find a lap. I think he may have had an off track though. Wait to see, but you can just see, look how much you can cut that corner into sheens. Really do love it. And then into Sterling once again. How much does he take? Not a lot of that inside curb. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers attack that curb later in the race. He's got one more corner to go. What is Sharky going to do?
Well, Sharky knows that any time is going to move him to 18th. You can't go lower than 18th because Paul Hampton and Bailey Cunningham haven't put any times on the board. Axelsen over the line and does not set a representative time. So that will be that in terms of qualifying, and the field is going to be set. So as it stacks up, it's car 3 who will be on the pole position. Adam Tompkins on a 138.888. Alongside for company will be Enzo Cantor on the front row. Cesar Best will go from the start of the second row in 3rd, with Sam Devontier, the number 1 car in this field, lines up in 4th. Joachim Oshbeck will start 5th along with Neil Gardner as Paul Smithurst goes from 7th, and a lot of work to do for Augusto Lovisolo, who's down in 8th position, and work to try and climb back up the order. Yannick Morale will start 9th with Brendan McDonough rounding out your top 10.
And into the second page we go with Juan Rodriguez. He will take 11th with Tom Payne in 12th. Then Jose Nunez, we did see there, will be 13th. With the 14th, sorry. Rafael Rogers goes into 13th position. And then it's Sharky, and sorry, I've got my timings wrong here. Xavier Klee will be 15th with Jeremy Julep in 16th. Brian Wignall will take 17th. And then Sharky Axelsen will sink and swim in 18th with Paul Hanson 19th. And Bailey Cunningham will be 20th.
Well, here's the difference between iRatings in this field. Sam Devontier is part of the 9,000 iRating club up there with the number 1 car next to his name. Bailey Cunningham has less than 350 iRating out there. And just for reference, you start with 1,500 out there in the 1,250 in the iRacing sphere. So you pretty much know that in this ELO system, there are winners and there are losers. And Bailey Cunningham from the back of the field is going to have a lot of work to do to climb through the order. But they all look to grid themselves up and they all look to get themselves ready, because we are here, of course, at Brands Hatch knowing that 15 laps worth of racing is going to be on the cards. Tompkins with control as the green flag drops, and we are underway here at Brands Hatch. It's a nice clean start. Cantor's got a good run. There's a bit of crossing of the beams back in the 3rd row as the likes of Oshbeck and Gardner look to try and work out where's best for them as they go through. Contact at turn 1. Lovisolo turned around through the opening corner with Yannick Morale.
Morale tried to get to the corner and he thought he had a space there, but it was not there. It was closing right away. Lovisolo's right at the back of the field now, and there's more carnage in the back of the drivers start to just bump their way through, but the back of the field is not where we have to look. It's that front, and in the back, Rafael Rogers getting by, but here at the front, a sliding Juan Rodriguez there gets the car under control. But now you start to see the big gaps here. Lovisolo, he's known for working his way back up. That's 8 seconds he's got to do. Rodriguez, he had a little bit of a slide there. It's going to be a long 15 laps for Lovisolo.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a charge back through the field, and every position now as they take Pilgrim's Drop along the Hawthorne Hill and now in towards the corner. You got Nunez there, and it's Chuayev there, Jeremy Chuayev, who's going to get down the inside of Raffaele Rogers and take that position away. Few slowdowns there. Axelson slow. Now moving through. Down the inside at Westfield goes Xavier Klein, who will take that place. And now another car will jump through. Yannick Morel and Bailey Cunningham will all pick up the advantage then as they go through. Up the hill, some side-by-sides. Cunningham looking to try and get the pass done and manages.
Very interesting move there. Managed to get by Morale. Morale just trying to keep his nose clean at the moment. It's Bailey Cunningham already up to 14th position. We haven't talked a lot about the leaders because there's not a lot going on with the leaders. They've got quite a big gap here now, these three. Almost got a second. In fact, the top five practically all together, but almost 3 wide as they start to find their way through. Cantor holds on to Enzo Best right away, right behind Devantier. He just knows what he has to wait for. So much gravel getting kicked up now as they hit the paddock hill bend.
1, 2, 3, all defend up at Druids, and Cantor had to defend for Cesar Best trying to get through, and of course Tompkins had to defend for Cantor looking to try and get through. Devantier watched it, Joachim Oshbeck on the back of this train in 5th, and then Neil Gardner and Paul Smithers are desperately trying to hold on to this group here on lap 2, running through Surtees corner now, turn 4, and back up the hill once again. This is going to be where you look around these straights, these drivers want these moves, and you're going to feel the straights are about 50 metres too short each and every time for drivers to try and make this move. This is where you're going to have to work maybe a lap in advance to get that pass down the hill, in through the first of 3 consecutive right-hand bends to go and get it sorted over at Hawthorne, and a bit more side-by-side as Lovesolo. Oh, touching tyres going down through. Not great for Xavier Klein, who loses the place.
Not good for him, for Klein, but for Lovisolo, good response. And these guys ahead of him having a nice little battle. Through goes Cholly up there as he makes that move. McDonough not having the best of times as well. Nunez will go through as they're all just trying to find it. They're using the speed they carry into Hawthorne to make a move into Westfield, something you don't see a lot with how fast that triple right-hander can be, but they're able to just make it work. Let's look at this with Lovisolo at the start. You just see too much speed there. I can't that just felt a bit aggressive there for Morale.
Yeah, it's lap 1, it's turn 1. You can't be a hero at the start of races like these. You've got to be a bit more patient and work out where everybody else is. They're fighting for the same piece of real estate, and there's the issue that they run into. 1, 2, 3, and 4 leading this race. Tompkins again defending at the front, then running through to Druids and managing that. We do have our first retirement of the race. It's Bailey Cunningham. It was at the end of the opening lap going through the Jim Clark curve, and ultimately he just lost the rear on power, and that took him into the pit wall, and that's why he's out of the race.
So unfortunate. They could have kept going. This is what happened as well to Yannick Morale. Again, coming by, sliding car. Well, he tries to avoid that as much as he can. I don't even think if the brakes were put on that car, they'd be able to slow down in time. So unfortunate. And now Osserbeck, he's had a moment as well out on the track. So that was a man chasing on down. He's had a big moment. I wonder if that wheel looks a little bit out of control. No, he's tapped the wall, almost doing the same thing we just saw Morale there, but actually not Morale, but as the car that was making the spin.
Yeah, did exactly the same as Sharky Axelson there. So Joachim Oshbeck just getting a little bit too deep through turn 4, grabbed the grass and then no way to recover it. Nose absolutely shattered there right now for Joachim Oshbeck. That's like watching a Eubanks Jr. punch right now. The nose for Joachim Oshbeck's been on the wrong end of that fight out there on track. But at least right now, Cesar Best here in 3rd position, Cantor 2nd, Tompkins leading. And this is where you just have the pleasantries. You don't need to go out there, be aggressive early. You're looking at later on in this race and how you move up the places and gain the positions. Tompkins still happy. This is what happened to Joachim Oshbeck in the grass, just trying to keep the foot in, but it is rutted over there on the exit of 4.
It is indeed, and you just have to remember as well that a lot of hills here on the track, and that's so unfortunate. Osbeck coming into the pit to take that fast repair, to get a brand new wing just at the click of the finger. Normally, Jake, when we talk about races with these straights and these battles, we usually say 3rd place is the best place to be. And Caesar, his name may be best. I don't feel it's going to be the right place for him to be 3rd here. If I'm looking at where I want to be at the end of the race, I kind of want to be where Enzo is right now in 2nd. I feel that's going to give you the best opportunity. But you've got to get past Adam Tompkins. That is no tool-aller.
No, it certainly isn't, and Adam's been running from the front. He's proven he's had the fastest pace in qualifying. There's been no arguments about that, and Adam Tompkins will look to try and continue in this vein moving forward down the hill in towards the fast right of Hawthorne Bend, and looking around the next right, of course, of Westfield, which opens up and is a little bit jutting in terms of its profile. It invites on entry, it closes back up again on exit, down through Dingledale, through this drop, and then the climb up to the Sheens curve, off camber, right-hand bend. You're just trying to tiptoe over the curve. It's never a passing place up there, but then as you hit the next left at Stirling's, now you get a reprieve on the left-hand side tyres, and you can start focusing on, okay, how do I gear up for Paddock Hill Bend again? Over to Clearways they go, and happy to stay 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gardner and Smithhurst 5th and 6th. Off the back now by 2.3 seconds. I think they're looking at best of the rest honours.
Well, I don't know if they will be best of the rest. If these guys start battling up, they're looking at, it may help them, because you see Cantor, he's going to try and do this around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Going to be very interested to see what he does, and he's not going to hold it. That corner starts to camber up. He gets a bit of room. Maybe ends up Caesar here looking for a free wide. He won't. These guys will go side by side once again. The outside is oh so treacherous here, and Cantor will have to just make it. He goes a little bit too wide, and he'll go side by side with Beth. I talked about the racing. This is a marathon out here today, and it's not how fast you can go, as Geddy Lee once said. It's more than just survival.
Yeah, and there's the up and under from Cesar Best, and that's enough to move to second. So Cantor pushing a bit too hard, finds the mistake, and not much that can be done about it. But Best runs slightly wide through turn 4, and Cantor might have the chance to strike back immediately. Devontier is in the middle of this, saying, please go left, don't fight. Can't afford to fight. I can confirm that you got Yannick Morale now 1 lap down, and Axelson is now out of the race, and he's down in the pits. I think he's pulled it in of his own accord. So for Sharky Axelson, that would be that then going forward. But my goodness me, Lovis Solo now on the back as Paul Smithhurst now realising that he's going to be there. So sorry, this is Smithhurst versus Neil Gardner for position. Sorry, lost it in the fog, but at least for the moment, Smithhurst happy at where he is currently, P6.
I think they're going to be happy as well, because they gained a second. Gardner and Smithhurst gained a second to the front pack just because of that fighting. And Tompkins trying to pull away now while the rest of the field battling on. You can just see them up ahead, so you won't see much working here. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of an action here, because Cantor wants to try and do this around the outside of Best. Not going to work a second time, it definitely won't, but the over-under works strong, and he's going to get a really good run as they come up to the Pilgrim's Rise, and into Druids they go. A lot of tapping, a lot of touching, and they keep it all together. But look at the time they're losing. Tompkins almost had clean air between him and the rest of the field. Not what you want to see if you're these guys in this pack.
No, that was very elbows out by Enzo Cantor there. He was shuffling Cesar Best out of the way, and there was not much that he could do except wait for Enzo to turn in. And Devontier, watching that, realizes that he's a passenger to both of them right now, two very aggressive drivers going at it. And the more aggressive that they are, the more that Adam Tompkins runs away with things. Now they get the little bit of slipstream to work with, dancing their way through at Hawthorne's corner on lap 6. And it's going to take a couple of laps here before Adam Tompkins gets reeled back in once again. So I think there's going to have to be a case of realizing what's the bigger picture, P2 or P1.
Now they're going to have to work together peloton style, and don't be surprised if you start to see them doing some switch over to try and catch up. But right away, that slipstream is strong, and I don't think Tompkins has had a good final half of this track, or final third of this track, because they've managed to catch up to that slipstream pretty quickly. A bit surprising if you ask me. I wasn't expecting it this quick, but they're now using this to catch up. They get a little bit of a tow here coming up to the Brabham Straight before they hit Paddock Hill Bend. That's going to be oh so helpful for them. Devanti has got to be happy as well. I think he realized when those guys were starting to go side by side, he was on the radio just telling him to just keep it calm, guys. We need to keep fighting at the front.
Neil Gardner sets the fastest lap of the race on a 38.5, and him behind had a massive moment at Paddock Hill Bend, and Paul Smithhurst can't do anything to capitalise on it. It was incredible. It's a shame that we missed it. I've never seen someone slide it at Paddock Hill Bend, get almost 30 degrees sideways there, and then have the ability to save it down the hill.
Yeah, I just had to look at that as well. That was an impressive save. It's what you can do on these cars. They are designed to have a little bit of a slide. Not that much. You don't do the drifting around here at Brands Hatch. It's not exactly the track and they didn't even use that when they went to the rallycross here. So not what you want to see. Overheating the tires and now losing out on time as these three so close up together. Devantier, he's happy to stay at the back here. But for how long, I've got to ask Jake, because he's seen how racy they want to be at the front. Here's this replay. It's only fair that we give this a judge's score. I'm pretty sure that the British judges are going to give this an 8.5 for execution.
Gardner, sliding, full lock. Trying to get that save. Yeah, you're absolutely right on the judges there. Paul Smithers couldn't capitalise on it. He was too close to deal anything about it. And for Neil Gardner, he did just set the fastest lap of the race, so he is trying to chase that down at 2.5 seconds off the back of Sam Devantier. They are reliant on a little bit of scrapping right now. The group back together again. Everywhere else is practically space here, space there, and drivers struggling to make much of anything out of this track. The only real closest battle I think we're going to get soon is Tom Payne being reeled in by Augusto Lovasolo.
Yeah, that's really good work from Lovasolo, really trying to make a good recovery drive, and that'll be good. He's actually went back where he started as well, so real good to see that. These guys are now starting to lose time out there. We just saw, but you can just see that slide that Gardner had really starting to work out. He's having to cool those tires down. He finally gets those tires cooled. It's hard to cool the tires down around here. You've only really got 2 straights. You can make it work, but look at that gap to the rest of this field as they come around Surtees one more time. We're at the halfway stage of the race, and there's still another 8 laps to go. Still a lot of time on the table.
Pick up the pace, that's what I want, says Sam Devantier on the back of this group. Here goes Enzo Cantor, looking to the outside, backs out of it wisely, moving into Hawthorne Corner, trying to pick up a drive off the exit. Tompkins using all of the road then to cover it off. He has been effectively the big blockade at the front of this field. He's been hogging that P1 from the drop of the flag. It's been lights to flag so far by Tompkins, but when you got Cantor, when you got Best, when you got Devantier, they're all there. And they are wanting to show that they can make it happen. Look how close the Movano car is to making that move, just right up underneath that exhaust pipe there on the left-hand side. But again, just trying to take those wider entries into the corner, picking up the run off the exit, throw a blanket on them onto the Brabham straight. And Enzo Cantor now trying to pinch, moves out to the outside, tries to get this move done around the outside again. Here at Paddock Hill, Ben's going to try and keep the foot in. This time manages it, but again, Tompkins gets a better run, and here comes Devantier searching for P3. Cesar Best left the door ajar. Contact front tyre to rear tyre. Devantier's through.
Yeah, got it through there. I think Cesar wanted to not defend that position, but he had no choice. He had to fight it, and they almost had a big coming together. Good of Cesar to pull out when he had the chance and just keep the car going to fight another day. They've lost half a second here to the rest of the field. That's all right, though. They're still okay. They can still afford a couple more fights. But how many times are we going to see a car try around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend? But the way that hill works, it is so tough because the car does not want, the curve does not want to camber in early doors. So you have to make it stick with late braking. It is tough to late brake in these cars. So I don't feel that Cantor's got the right run there to make it work. The over-under, as you were saying, might be the strategy down into Druids.
Yeah, so if you can manage that, that's going to be solid, as Cesar Best here in 4th position is looking at any which way to move back up. Devantier is doing what he does so well. He just times the right moment to jump up through the group, and that's why he's always a threat in these races, no matter where he is on the board, because right place, right time, he'll get there. Cantor, no move as he goes in towards the final corner, the Jim Clark curve, and looks to try and get that drive off of the exit. They can't afford to sit idly in this either, because the moment that they do, a car behind will start making that move. Cantor again trying around the outside of Paddock Hill, can't quite get the launch again. Back in line, Devantier trying to move over everyone to the inside at turn 2. Cantor's left the door open. Devantier, yoink, takes that one. P2 now.
I'm sorry if you left the door open for me. Thank you very much. I'll just squeeze on right by as Devantier takes that position away. And you can see it's working because even Tompkins had a little bit of a slide coming out of the Paddock Hill Bend there. Love the camera angles we're getting of this fight because you're just starting to see how the cars are starting to struggling. And where did I say the best place to be would be? 2nd position. Where has Devantier put himself? He's put himself second position. He is now going to run onto the back of Tompkins. And now Adam's got to start thinking, I've seen drivers try to do this around the outside. I've seen drivers try to do this around the inside and try to make a move. Where is Devantier going to go? It's not going to be against these two. They're not going to see anything down at Hawthorne yet.
Paul Smithhurst has been staring at the back of the mashup livery of Jordan and McLaren there of what is going to be Neil Gardner, and he can't find a way through. And look at what it's costing him. He feels like if they can tandem and slipstream and overtake, they can effectively leapfrog their way onto that group. They're 2.5 seconds back, and they're scrapping at the front of the field. So they feel that if they're holding each other up at the front, they've got a chance. And speaking of which, Lovis Solo has got to the back of Tom Payne.
Yeah, really good recovery drive from Lovi Solo. We know what he can do out in clear air. We know what he can do in dirty air as he looks for this move, and he's not going to get it so far. But there's 3 wide, Adam, coming into the first corner, and this is going to be Devantier trying to go to the outside. It doesn't work for him, and Cantor's going to go, you silly boy. You've seen me try that too many times. You're going to get a taste of your own medicine. In he goes into Druid to take it. Lovi Solo in the picture. He's going to try and take that position away, and he does. Devantier almost gets rear-ended from Caesar Best. Everybody chained except for Adam Tompkins.
Well, Tompkins is watching the chaos behind, and Cesar Best there getting into the back through the corner on Sam Devantier. He's picked up damage to the front left of his wing, so now he's going to be limping wounded on the back of this group, and Cesar Best, like Icarus, flew too close to the sun, and now he's been burned out there on circuit. Not much he can do. Cantor, third to first in a lap, he'll try. Round the outside, it's 3 straight rights. It's tough to do it. Has to fall back into line and immediately now has to go defensive to Westfield Bend. Devantier doesn't want to try and attack it there, going through the second of the 3 rights, but they've got to gather it up. They're all being opportunistic. There are no cool heads second through fourth.
And Cantor was looking to make that move around the outside of Hawthorne, but he realized Tompkins started to understeer a bit, and he had to get out of the steering. And that little adjustment allowed Sam to try and look for a move going into Westfield. Again, not really an overtaking corner. He tried it. It did not work. So now they're going to have to reset, recharge, and reload to see what they've got for another lap. But the laps are ticking down, and no one has managed to find a run on Tompkins. They're taking too much of an opportunity at the first sight, instead of trying to set himself up like it's a game of chess, because you kind of need to set yourself, your bishop up, before you go for the castle.
Yeah, so Smithhurst now with the fastest lap of the race, sat in 6th position. Cantor angling towards that inside, trying to get large in the mirrors, see if there's any mistake that Adam Tompkins will make, and he's made seldom few in this race here. Lap 12 of 15, 4 clear at the front, with 2 trying to chase on behind and keep themselves in this race. Tompkins has done a wonderful job at the front, but now you're starting to look at who can make something known, who is going to be the biggest factor there. Devantier in 3rd, you've got Cesar Best, who's there in 4th position, and you're starting to think, right, now what do I do? Because Tompkins is taking the middle of the road, moves over when he knows that the move's not going to happen, and look at Enzo Cantor, right about half a car width alongside there as he pokes the nose out. He is trying to show everywhere intimidation now.
In the middle of the corner, I don't think I could fit myself between the 2 cars. That's how close Cantor was on the back of Tompkins, and I almost had to just close my eyes thinking there was going to be a moment, because Cantor's really carrying the speed. A late send into Sterling. This doesn't usually work when it's that late, but he's got the overlap. And is this going to allow Devantier to try and make a move going into Clark? It does not. But all of a sudden, that's a warning shot. Tompkins just got caught out on a corner. He was not expecting an overtake. And now with 4 laps to go, 3 laps to go as they cross the line, that's a sign that he is not prepared for what Cantor's got to offer.
There you say it, no corners safe, and Cantor's deep through turn 1 and can't get the turn in. Devantier's now going to get a chance here to attack. Defensive line taken by Cantor, up into Druid's turn 2, which has been the best place to see passes today, and Cantor holds it all together. Lovis Solo with the fast lap of the race is 10 seconds to chase down. He won't do that by the time this race ends. But look at that gap now between 4th and 5th. It's down to 1.5, 1.6 seconds. Gardner and Smithhurst might, at the 11th hour, bring themselves to the party.
They managed to shave half a second off last time by, and if these guys keep fighting with the amount of laps left, they will reach the pack. The gap is 2 seconds, as you can see on the timing tower. Very crucial to see what will happen there, but the drivers are just not setting themselves up here. They're just causing a little bit of issues for each other, because the moment Cantor made a mistake there going into paddock, he went super aggressive into Druid, and it held up the rest of the field. And if they're trying to battle for the win here, they don't want to start doing that. Devantier will want to try and get to the win, yes, but maybe some of these drivers are starting to say, hang on 1 second, you've had all the fun, it's my time to play with the ball, I want to start playing, and I want to play football.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nerve about in this group. I'm not sure that anyone is truly comfortable out there on circuit. I don't think Tompkins is. I definitely don't think Cantor is. Devantier and Best are sat there thinking we can't really influence much out there at this point. Throw a couple popsicle sticks up. We got 2 laps to go. Cantor feigning to the outside, not making a move here at Paddock Hill, but really trying to attack down the hill. That's the key to winning this race. Attack down the hill. Tompkins defends. Here as they head up towards Druid. Cesar down the inside, and he'll get them both. Cesar, what a pass!
How on earth did he do that? Because there was so much smoke. I thought the Vatican elected a new pope, and he was able to hold it. And I don't think the driver's going to be happy. Was that a late send? Was that an accidental late braking? We don't know. But out of nowhere, Cesar Best. Remember, Jake, he's got damage on the nose. How can he do this is what I'm wondering. But that is desperation time for Cesar Best.
Wow, take another look at this. Cesar Best threw it in from a mile back and said, out of my way. What a move by the Iberian to get that pass sorted. He's now in prime position to attack Adam Tompkins in this race, and now suddenly it's a case of watch out everyone, we're in for a treat with a lap and a bit.
But remember, we've got to keep addressing that broken nose. If he takes the lead, how much can he hold on to the lead? So is he going to look for a last-second braking opportunity at the end of the track? Or is he going to try and make that opportunity probably after Hawthorne, because he knows the straight line speed isn't there? This is going to be the crucial time as Barney's ready with that white flag. It will be 1 to go, and it will be the final time. And you can see Cesar, he's right on at the defense right away. He's not looking to attack Tompkins. I don't think he's complacent with second. He's really looking for an opportunity here, Jake.
He certainly is. Drives down Paddock Hill Bend, up to Druids. Cantor now, searching for that move to go to second, but Best has to defend. Devantier, door left open. Podium's going to go away from Enzo Cantor now with that move. Brilliantly done in terms of the pass. Cantor might throw it back here at Graham Hill. Gets close, but not close enough. Best place to pass has gone. Now you got the half chances, and Cesar Best is going to need to be at his level best if he wants to get by Adam Tompkins, who has never been away from P1 in this one. Back in 5th and 6th, Paul Smithers and Neil Gardner. I think the gloves are going to be off with them as they realise the best they can fight for is 5th at the moment, as they now duel side by side, dropping down Pilgrim's Drop and over towards the right of Hawthorne Corner. Round the outside, tries the move from Paul Smithers, but he's not got the line and he has to fall into line. Still though, you still keep that focus on the front four. Cesar Best trying to use all of the circuit to his advantage. He's now got to search for those half chances up through the Sheen's Curve. This might be the most important corner left in this one. Adam Tompkins has been resolute. He's been perfect on the defence. There's no drive here going through at Sterling's, but now you've got to cover it off. Heading to Clark Curve. It's going to have to be around the outside by Cesar Best. Painted into a corner. Now trying the up and under. Adam Tompkins lights the flag. Adam Tompkins to the line. Adam Tompkins dominant here at Brands Hatch. Cesar Best is second. It's Devantier third and Cantor a bridesmaid.
Gardner gets that P5 away from Smithson, fantastic. But what defense from Tompkins. He knew at the last moment that there might be a little bit of a dummy from Best. So he waited until the final opportunity to get that car right on the racing line to take that corner perfectly. He blocked every opportunity. The defense today was on point for the man, and he really takes it. Jeremy Chauvelet, is he going to have one last fight here? I don't think he's got the run. Ozebek will take that position. It'll be 11th, not where he wants to be, but he had to get that repaired for a broken nose.
And Raffaele Rogers has been disqualified on the final lap of the race for incident points, and now will drop to 17th, maybe even 18th in this field because of it, as he will not be classified as a finisher. Xavier Klein will look at Paul Hanton here, trying to take this one final position to get this move done, and a big long right then of the Jim Clark curve comes along, but I think it's just going to be a stretch too far to catch the mock-up Cannon Williams over the line. So Hanton is going to finish then ahead of Xavier Klein and pick up what is going to be 14th place. And there is your last finisher, Brian Wignall there from Club New Jersey, very early in the morning for New Jersey. It's about 6 o'clock right now, so getting the racing in nice and quick. But let's get confirmation of result here from Brands Hatch and Adam Tompkins. 24 minutes 48 seconds, a masterclass of racing from the front here at Brands, and winning by a 10th over Cesar Best, who had move of the race, a 2-for-1 send down the inside at Druitt, with Sam Devontier third and Enzo Cantor in fourth position. It would then be Neil Gardner who would round up fifth, with Paul Smithers sixth, as Augusto Lovasolo and Tom Payne would be seventh and eighth. Brendan McDonough would be ninth, ahead of Jose Nunez, who would round out your top 10.
Into the page two is Joachim Osselbeck, who is 11th after having to take those repairs, just holding off Jeremy Chauvelet in 12th. And then Juan Rodriguez will be 13th, with Paul Hanton in 14th. Xavier Klein will be 15th, with Brian Wignall, the last man on the lead lap, in 16th, with Raphael Rogers disqualified on the final lap. Yannick Morale also a lap down after taking repairs, and Sharky Axelson unfortunately did sink into 19th, with Bailey Cunningham down on the first lap for the 20 drivers. That was one hell of a race. I believe Jake is down in the paddock. I think you may have an Adam Tompkins ready for you.
I certainly do. Adam Tompkins here along with me at this moment in time. Adam, you couldn't have asked for a better race there. Lights to flag. You led every single lap of the race. You kept a very, very hungry pack there behind you in terms of the battling. So talk us through not only your qualifying effort, but dealing with some very, very aggressive characters behind, like Cesar and Enzo. Well, I hope that we can get Adam's mic. Here we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it was a cracking race. Really good race. Very clean, I have to say, from the back three behind me. I just had to fend as much as I possibly could. Even the inside line into turn 1 and 2. Same again to the back straight. Was a bit nervous. It was again a bit nerve-wracking towards the last few laps. But no, really good clean race, and I'm quite happy with the result.
It's been one that has been just knocking on the door so far this season. We've seen you up there at the likes of Okayama, getting close, trying to find a way. Now that you've found this way, do you think this gives you a little bit more incentive heading to the second half of the season?
Sure, yeah. Hope we can do the next race at Neston next week. Definitely starting to learn the Skippy a bit more now. We used to race once in a blue moon, but now we can race regularly now to my real life schedule. So, but yeah, I feel way more confident with this car now. Consistently getting good qualifying lap times, and hopefully I can just defend as much as I can and overtake a few if I don't qualify pole, and yeah, keep in the battle with the likes of Benny, Adam and co.
Let's talk about then that ability of learning this car, because it seems like an easy car to drive but a hard car to master. What do you think, as a driver of your talent and ability, is the difference maker from being able to drive this car compared to being able to master this car?
I think it's patience and smoothness. I think I've noticed a lot of people, they tend to weave a lot on the outlap for qualifying, but I found that if the smoother you are, the more you extract from the car from the early stage. Same again in the race as well. I think this car probably requires the most precision in terms of smoothness out of any car in the sim. And I think that rewards me because I consider myself quite a smooth driver. So if you're quite aggressive, this is probably not the car for you. But if you want to become more smooth, of course, then this is the car.
Well, a lovely bit of insight and a great victory for you here today at Brands Hatch. Adam Tompkins joining us and picking up the victory here today. And I believe, Craig, you've also taken a little wander down. I believe you've run into the driver who finished 4th today in Enzo Cantor.
Yeah, with me is Enzo Cantor, and it was a really good qualifying for you, Enzo, but the race was very topsy-turvy today. It was back and forth action. It looked like you were on a little bit of defense there for most of the race.
Hi guys, first of all. Well, yeah, very nice, good race here in this track that is I think one of the best example of what a battle can be here in this sim and in this series, because if you want, you can do side by side every corner of the track from the start till the end of the lap, and it's very funny but scary at the same time, because if you don't know exactly what the other driver is doing, well, you risk to die. So I knew the field was very strong and aggressive, and I tried to call myself today to be less hot-blooded than the other times, because you know, they say always that I'm the aggressive one, so I try to think more to the strategy. And well, the fact is that I was a little bit faster than Tompkins, but really I didn't find the right point in the track to pass him without losing time. He was very strong in defending, and the problem is that every time I tried to attack him, I lost time, and I was attacked from behind. So I was thinking to stay calm until the end and try the last move in the last few laps. That's what I tried, because when I was third, I tried to let the first two in turn one side by side, and then put myself into the inside line, but it was not enough. And probably this time I had to be more aggressive, because this time Cesar and Sam were both more aggressive than me, and they passed me. No way for me.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the chances trying to go side by side around the outside on turn one, getting caught out into Druids at turn two. It was so tough for you out there today, but it feels like the pace for everybody was there, but there was not a lot of opportunities to make the overtakes on the slipstream. Do you feel that this track doesn't give you that chance? Because the track we've seen this season, a lot of straights. Not many straights today, not a lot of overtaking chances.
Well, no, here are many of chance opportunity to pass. The problem is that the other driver have to be fair at the most as possible, because if you are on the outside in the first of the three high-speed right and the corner after the straight, if you are on the outside and the car inside doesn't care about you, you go on the grass and you die. So you can pass here, but both of the drivers have to be very fair and respectful of the other challenger, because if you are inside and you force a little bit your line, forcing the braking point a little bit too late, you surely will hit the car outside and push it over the grass. I did yesterday many races with Dennis Johansson, that is not today. We did the battle every lap, every corner. Yes, surely we touched sometimes, but surely there are many opportunities here to pass if you want to race in a fair way.
Yeah, and next week it's Snetterton. Hopefully we're going to see similar racing, hopefully respectful as well. What are your expectations for Snetterton next week?
Well, Snetterton is a track that I don't know at all. So I don't know the track. I don't have. Someone told me that it has a similar layout than this one. So I think should be an interesting race. But well, again, today I was not sure that Adam would let me enough pace on the outside to try to pass seriously. So perhaps I was too care. I had to care about finishing the race without dying. And well, it's okay, because I died many times, so this time I survived, and I lost the podium, but no problem. I was in the first pack, and that's the important thing. I'm 47 years old. I'm still enough fast to stay there.
Well, the best thing about sim racing is it's for anybody of any age. As we've seen another series, it's always good to see. You live to fight another day. P4 today for Enzo Cantor. Thank you very much for coming in to the interview room with me, and we look forward to seeing you next week. That, Jake, was Enzo Cantor. Can't believe it. We're at Snetterton next week.
We absolutely are, and there's been some wonderful racing that we've had here today, but the second half of the season kicks off in 7 days' time, and you want to join us for that May 4th, the 300, the full kit and caboodle that we will deal with today around the former airfield base in Norfolk in England. You want to catch that with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel and keep yourself up to date with all of the most amazing sim racing with us, because it's not over today. Classic Lotus Grand Prix, that's going to be heading over to Interlagos for racing action, and then your triples for what is next week. You've got Grand Prix Legends at Watkins Glen, and it's the quick layout there. The IMSA Vintage is heading to Indianapolis as we hit the month of May, and then of course Snetterton will bring itself the hold in the Skip Barber Racing Series. Want to thank the team who's brought this on over to you today, from Craig, from Christian, and from Dougie as well. My name's been Jake Sperry, and simply put, if you take control at the front of this field, you put the car in all the right places, you defend the right corners at the right times, victory will come your way. Adam Tompkins, now with confidence, can pick up that result, but there were some amazing drivers behind who felt they were bottled up and couldn't quite find a chance. There will be chances next week as we move from Kent a little bit up past London into Norfolk. We'll see you at Snetterton, where the second half of the season commences.